bigger faces that I probably know. You guys probably don't know me. Like Larry, Glenn, Marilyn. I wanted to give you a little bit about how I got started in this, and that's the fault of my dad. He gave me an old picture of my great-great-grandfather, and he wanted me to see what I could do about researching his history. I think that was about 20 years ago. And I wasn't really into it that much. It was about 5 years ago, as soon as the internet started to come through with information superhighway, I got into it even more, and I was able to get a hold of different cousins, such as Donna Louise, Georgine Neville, Richard and Betty Wadowski, Marvin and Elsie Popken, Anita Triple, and Eileen Stenvers. Eileen lived in Omaha. I visited with her a couple times, and we went over some pictures we had in her part of the family history, which was John Clausen and Anna Popken. And one of the last things she told me was she said, "How long do you think it's going to take before you get a book published?" She said her health was starting to fail, and she wasn't sure how long she was going to last. Anyway, 4, 5, maybe 6 months prior to her passing away, she got a copy of my book. So she was able to enjoy that up until the day she passed away. And Richard Mueller is another person that contacted me on the internet. He said he had some pictures of my grandparents and his family when they were so little. I had no idea who this guy was. But after talking with him a little while, it turns out that he's the great-grandson of Catherine Eagers. Katrina Eagers. And she was the sister of my great-grandmother. And I guess they visited each other and took pictures, so they passed down. Anyway, I started off trying to put 100 pages of my book together. After I got to 100 pages, they turned it to 150 pages. And it turned into 200 pages. Finally, I stopped at 270 pages. There's so much family history goes nowadays, you just can't put it all in one book, because history goes on. Us as we grow up, our kids grow up, our grandkids grow up in the future. So this book is sort of like a foundation that all the generations can use to continue with their own family history growing up. My slides, I'm going to have 100 of them. 50 of them will be about my book. Got another 48 or 50, which will cover the trip I took to Germany about a month ago. I'm going to cover the area up there in which our ancestors lived, the church they lived, which church, and then the little communities they lived in. Should be pretty interesting. Also, an announcement. A lot of you prepaid already for the catering. If you're interested in eating and you haven't paid yet, you can see Nona at the table later on. I believe it's like $8 per meal. And I'm going to get started now. I'm going to have to leave these lights on here so I can read. Also, bear with me. I might stumble a little bit while I'm talking, or I might get some brain cramps.
Never heard that before.
ships departed break due to overcapacities that were reached at Bremerhaven. Between 1854 and 1865, there were 25,000 people had boarded either Oldenburg or Bremen ship at Break to leave the area. At the port of Break, they got a maritime museum which displays tradition harbors, shipbuilding sites along the Western River. The museum archives also allows researchers to trace the routes of immigrant ships that once left the harbor in the service for the Duchy of Oldenburg. The museum is located in an old telegraph building which was owned by Frederick Gerhard Borgstedt, who ran an immigration agency from 1853 to 1856. This is a small map of the area wholly where Popkins lived, also in Oberhouse. They lived in that area too. It was up and down that yellow highway that these families lived. Our early ancestors, as far back as we got the information, is Johann Heinrich Popken, who was born in 1688, married Anna Katrina Hackemann, who was born in 1690. They had a son, also named Johann Heinrich Popken. They've had difficulties with names back then. July 10th, 1737, he was born. He married Greta Groen on October 20th, 1737. They had a son, Gerd Popken. March 4th, he was born in 1763, and he married Trina Seward. We looked up that name and we can't find any relation to the current Sewards here in Nebraska, but it could be. She was born March 21st, 1768. They had a son, Gerd Popken, also. These names, I'll tell you. June 28, 1794, he was born. He married Anna Marguerite Gortitz, who was born September 5th, 1793. They had a son. Now here's, we're getting close to the people we were familiar with. Johann Popken, who was born in 1835 and married Anna Gorath, who was born in 1841. They also had another son by the name of Heinrich George Popken, who was born in 1837. And a daughter who was born in, Mette Popken, who was born in 1832. Some events that took place during those time periods I just mentioned about our ancestors. From 1667 to 1773, the area was called Oldenburg Danish and belonged to Denmark. They built the fortress of Christiansborg on the Jade Bay in 1682 to 1696. In 1773, Denmark sold Oldenburg to the younger line of the Dukes of Holstein-Gottorp, and they were called the Duchy of Oldenburg. The Dukes ruled absolute. In 1786, the world's first savings bank was established in the city of Oldenburg. In 1789, the city walls were finally torn down. In 1792, Oldenburg State Library was founded by Duke Peter Frederick Ludwig. In 1810, the land was annexed by France. The Duke went into exile to Russia. The Duchy in 1810 had a population of almost 160,000. In 1813 to 15, the Duchy was finally restored. And in 1823, the Duchy of Oldenburg had a population of 218,000 that started to grow. In 1866, Oldenburg entered into an alliance with Prussia. Oldenburg troops fought alongside the Prussians in the War of 1866 against Austria. This map didn't come out as good as I wanted it to. But anyway, if you follow my pointer, up here, if you follow the tree line down to the left, Up here by the pointer, the yellow house, that's the Holly Church. There's a White House right here. That's where Johann Popken had lived at one time when he was in Holly. And then you've got Gerd Popken down here, and Heinrich Popken right here. And you've got the Korat family right here. That whole highway was not only a community of families that knew each other, but they were connected to marriage by their own children. Here's a map of the way they plotted the farms. They're long, they're not wide. And on the right, you've got the Fries, you've got the Popkins. There's also a Heinemann in there. Relation to the governor, I don't know. You've got a couple Sewers in here, some Ripkins, and there's a Monique there. They had just left going to the U.S. They ended up here in Nebraska too. Anyway, this is the Church of Holly. Undated. They seem to be able to want to surround their church with a cemetery. And they did the same thing when they came here, so we can attest to the St. Paul's Lutheran Church just north of Hooper, surrounded by a cemetery. This was in 1930 of the same church. This was in 1940 during the beginning of the war. The front end of it is totally demolished. This is in 1949 after they had restored it. And this is what the church looks like today. It's small. This is the inside of the church. The area on the right-hand side right here, they have stairs that go up behind this cubicle. And it looks like the priest goes up there and talks about his sermon. This picture was taken in 1920. This is the first house that Johann lived in the 1800s. This is the same house, improved in 1940. This is also the same farmhouse, and this is the way it looks today, with vast improvements over that first 1920 picture. I knew Gerhard was the first one at the age of 18 to leave the area and go to the United States of America. He went on a steamship line in 1883. He kept a record of his activities and wrote glowing stories back to his family in Germany, which at that time prompted them to take the trip to America. And they came over on the steamship Fulda. John and Anna had the other 6 children with them. Anna Helene, Johann Heinrich, Hermann Dietrich, Ermine Matilda, Johann Dietrich, and Bertha Helene. You noticed throughout all this, there's many names used over and over again. Evidently, they didn't have a dictionary of names. Johann, Dietrich, Hermann, Gerd, used over and over again. The Logan Hall. Logan Hall was a popular place that everybody went to dance, have fun, and play music. Here's a couple of events that took place in the early 1900s, 1800s. In and this came out in the newspaper. This is dated September 9, 1893. The Logan Hall Pioneer Fest was celebrated Monday at the Logan Hall, 8 miles north of Hoover. There was a very large attendance of German citizens of Dodge and the surrounding counties present to participate in the festivities. The exercises began at noon and lasted until late at night. There were probably 800 people present. Lewis Smith of Hoover had a merry-go-round on the grounds, and there were stands and other holiday occasions present. At 4 o'clock, the assemblage was called and ordered by Herman Holocaust, president of the association. An address was then delivered by Rudolph Noack of Fremont. His theme was the part the Germans have taken in the development of America from 1603 to the present. At night, the young people danced at the hall until nearly daylight the next morning. Looks like they had all-night affairs too. Okay, the next celebration I have is dated 1903. It was an annual Kinderfest. It was under auspice of the Oldenburg Germans. It was given Saturday at Logan Hall. This annual gathering is usually one of the big events in the settlement, but the attendance Saturday was the smallest in years, though there was a good-sized crowd present. The late season had a good deal to do with keeping the farmers at home, with many not caring to leave their fields. Many others living in the east side of Logan were unable to cross the bottom since the roads were considered impassable by the lake. Little folks, chaperoned by their parents, started for the hill for the hall shortly after noon, and once amused themselves with outdoor games. During the afternoon, the little boys and girls entered the foot races, and the winners received prizes of pocket knives and cups. Peanuts in great quantity were provided by the society for the little folks. At the stands, goodies, lunches, and firecrackers could be had. And in another place, the return ballmen have the thriving business. Music was furnished at intervals by the Hoover Orchestra during all the afternoon. The old folks enjoyed outing as much as the children. They were gathered in groups all about the shady yard and the buildings. In the evening, the young folks arrived for the dancing, which began at 8:30 and continued until morning. This is a picture of John and Anna Gorab, or John Popken and Anna Gorab. Their 7 children were Heinrich Gerhard, who married Anna Katrina Egers, Anna Helena, who married John Clausen, Johann Heinrich married Sophia Niederwig, Hermann Dietrich married Helen Scholl, Hermine Matilda married Hermann Sewer, Johann Dietrich married Annie Sewer, and Bertha Aline married Hermann Fay. This is a picture of the Popken farm. In it, I believe that's Annie Sewer, Johann Dietrich, or better known as Dick, along with John and Anna Popken and farmhand. Another picture of the same group, different part of the side of the house. This is a picture of Heinrich Popken and Anna Egers. That would be my great-great-grandfather. He had 4 children. This is a picture of Anna. That's John on the left. Then there's Elsie Popken, George Popken, and Fred Popken. This is a picture of John Mueller. After Heinrich passed away in 1908 of pneumonia, she married John Mueller. They had one son together, Edmund Mueller. He would be a little one on the bottom left there. And that's also John, Fred, George, and Elsie with them. Anna Popken married John Clausen. They had 8 children. Elma, Charles, Matilda, Ella, Ida, Anna, Leona, and Martha. Some of the pictures I've got viewed are below. That's Charles and Clausen, his wife Emma, I guess you pronounce that, Lila, on the left. And that's Tilly and Ida Clausen on the right. And Tilly Clausen on the left and Leona Clausen on the right. Okay, I've had several different documentations sent to me about John's arrival from Germany. I'm putting it all together here, so hopefully it makes sense to everybody. The earliest documentation said John Clausen lied about his age so that he could take a steamship to America. He had supposedly taken his brother Carl with him, who had fallen overboard. Scott Mahoney, which is on that side of the family, great-grandson to John Clausen, did some research with the Bremen State Government Archives in January 2003. Bremen told Scott that John Clausen entered the Merchant Marines when he was 14 years old. John was a part of the crew on the steamship Necker on November 6, 1883, when it arrived in New York. On March 27, 1885, and he was listed as a deserter with 4 other crewmen on March 29, 1884. This could be why the German to American records had no record of him, because they didn't include the crew in those record books. He gave many different birthplaces that we know of. Who knows, maybe the authorities off, for whatever reason, if they were looking for him. He had no way of knowing. Anyway, the different birthplaces is Biel, Germany, is what the Bremen state government shows as his birthplace. Zweiberg, Germany, is what his marriage certificate says. Emden, Germany, is his naturalization papers. Werner, Germany, is his obituary, and Weisser, Germany, is his death certificate. All this was pretty interesting when I put all this together. Now we have Johann Heinrich Popken. He married Sophia Niederhofer. They had one son by the name of William. He married Elsie Buselman. They had one child, Merlin. His wife was Dolores. Bill and Elsie had a very long life together. The pictures below are from their 60th wedding anniversary. They also celebrated their 75th wedding anniversary in 1998. Herman Dietrich Popken married Helena Scholl. They had 11 children. Arthur, Bernard, Herman, and Emil. These are a picture of them. Some of them have their spouse with them. Herbert Popken married Margaret Hostelow. Arthur married Gladys Brand, and Bernard married Marie Goldstein. The other children were Norma, Irene, Martha, Lorenz, Laura, Marie, and Emma. Marie and Emma, they passed away when they were infants. Norman Popken married Leona Thank you. Earl Bouse married Irene Popken, and there's Martha Popken, Laura Popken and her family. Lorenz Popken, I haven't heard of anything about him passing away lately, so if he's still around, he's in the Hooper Care Facility. This picture was taken in 2005. He was crowned king at the Valentine party, which was kind of interesting. He is the only child left from the Herman Dietrich Popken family. Okay, I got it from Glenn Popken. He's still around, so he's in his, I guess he's about 90, he's in his 90s. Herman M. Popken and Herman R. Seward had 2 children. Right now we don't know anything about their 2 children. This is just an old picture of Herman and Hermione with Fred and Elma, their 2 kids. Unless somebody can come up with something about their families, we have no idea. This is all the information I've got. Johann Dietrich Popken married Annie Seward. They had 11 children. Alfred, Emma, Frida, Nora, Herman, Agnes, Laverna, Lloyd, Margie. A few of the pictures I've got down below are Emma, Frida, Herman, and with the 2 horses is Nora and Herman. And here we have Paul and Walter Popken. Bertha A. Popken married William W. Fay, or Fye. They had no children. The only known picture we have of them is when they visited Germany. They must have visited some of William's cousins because they looked just like him. I could have put more on the slideshow, but with 270 pages of the book, we'd be here all day today and tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and begin my next presentation. That was my granddaughter. She's interested in her photograph. Okay. This is my son standing there with me. This is a picture of a museum that's on the Collar-Landstrasse, the road, the highway that goes from Halle to Oberhausen. We got the key from a lady next door. We opened it up. We tried to take some pictures, but it was kind of dark in there. The light switches we found, it wasn't light enough to take too many pictures, and some of the doors were closed. But it was kind of interesting, and it had old farm equipment in there that you like to find in the Moosbach Museum here in Scribner. And that's myself with Manfred Morning. He's showing us the route we're going to take on our tour for the next couple of days. This here is an area we were walking through in the forest. All of the ground up there is a spongy type substance, and if you jump on it, the people around you feel like they're about ready to jump up, like they were on a trampoline. That's how spongy it is. The farmland in the area is surrounded by small ditches, like this one here. The ditches and the small canals, as you call them, they flow also around the villages. And these ditches also follow the roads. So if you listen up carefully, the ditches will go around and up and down all the fields. They surround all the houses, all the farms, and they go up and down all the roads. Some of the canals have cement stones built into them to show when and who is responsible for that area's construction. There are also some small ponds throughout the area that help flood control. All the small canals that I mentioned earlier are interconnected with bigger canals, like this one here, flowing through the countryside. These bigger canals are all connected to water pump stations. I think there were 3 or 4 in the area. These stations, when it starts flooding, whether it be high tide or rains, they start pumping water. This is inside the pump station. They pump water into the Hunt River. This is the other side of the pump station. This is the Hunt River. When I was looking on the map, I guess they have a lot of high tide, a lot of rain flooding in the area. The map shows that their elevation is from 0 to 7 meters. So that's not very far above sea level. We walked deep into the marsh the second day, and he wanted to show us these bridge replicas. This first replica, both these bridges were made before Christ. The sign here says the Hunt Bridge was made in 713 before Christ. Another bridge before Christ. This one was called the Witte Bridge, Witte Ball, and it was built 120 before Christ. Our tour guide was a big historian, so he took us to more places than just where our relatives lived. This is the front door of the building everybody had to go through to get to America on the ship. This was their passage to America. Here's another map. It's got more houses. If you see how they're spread out from here all the way down to the bottom left, there's probably 10 or 15 of them there. There's also a new name up in the top right-hand corner, Herman Popken. He's also a brother to Johann Popken. I found out when I was over there. This is a picture of the church we took over there. All the family went to the Lutheran Church of Holly. And this is a more recent version of the inside of the church. Alongside one of the churches, we found some cemetery stones. A couple of the headstones were found against the church with nowhere to go because they were probably washed away at one time through a flood or something. They had no idea where they were supposed to go. This was kind of interesting. We come across this, the sign of Popken Reunion, which I guess you could say it's Popken Hill. Belongs to us. Anyway, it's a village just west of Brake, and the area did belong to Derek Popken. He sold 6 country land parcels on June 5th, 1521. This house here, Herman Popken, Johan's brother, married Catherine Munderloh in 1860. As you're looking at these houses, if you look at the roofs, some of these roofs are still made of straw, and roofs are actually 8 inches thick because of that. Some of these names you may not be familiar with. On the table in the back, I've got a black chart of Gerd Popken's ancestors. They're all related to us in one way or another. And if these names aren't familiar, it's because they are part of the female side of the family ancestors. They lived here in 1631. Trina Seward was born here in this house in 1768. She was Gerd Popken's wife. And Trina Seward died here in 1841. You see the straw roof that I mentioned earlier on that house. This used to be an old schoolhouse back in the 1800s, early 1900s, and it turned into a residence. Johann Popken and Greta Stone of Rome from 1766 to 1856 lived in this farmhouse. And this one should be familiar. It's in the book. It's the only farmhouse we had that was available when I started my book. Johann Popken and Anna Gorath. From 1867 to 1878, they lived here. They acquired the land from the Gorath family and built their own house on it. Then they sold the farms to the Lucha Harms family. Johann Popken and Anna Gorath, once they sold that farm, they lived in this farmhouse from 1879 to 1885, and from here they went to America. This is another view, a side view of the same farmhouse. Catherine Goad, ancestor, lived here around 1534. Heinrich Seward, this is a different Seward family. On the female side of our ancestors, they lived here from 1666. And later on, he had bought this one and lived here in 1697. Heinrich Wittmann, also an ancestor on the female side of the house, lived in this farmhouse in 1629. If you notice, some of the farmhouses, we couldn't get that close to them. No ancestors of ours lived there anymore. They're private property, and he said probably best not to walk up to the house. Klaus D. Goad lived here in 1625. Theodore Mooning lived here. I had no date on this one. Also part of our ancestors. I believe that was back in the 1500s. That's the end of both of my slideshows. I've got a couple short videos, or one video I want to bring up. Bear with me here.
Okay. Now, Ron, what are we seeing here?
We're looking at
I'm zooming in here.
Okay.
That's good. Recording, right?
Yes, I'm recording.
Go around this way.
Okay. You do that. Yeah, I know it. Right next to the cemetery is the church. There's our friend Monford Morning showing us around the area. This is a beautiful area around the church. We have many of these houses and churches on hills because of the rising water from marshes.
This was kind of interesting. Waiting for the lady to come up. The lady came in when we were looking at the church.
Das ist ein sogenannter Register.
Well, it's a pretty old organ, you know, it's on the left-hand side. He reached for some cops. He has to use some cops to pull them out and push them in, change the tune.
In dance?
Okay, that should have been about an hour long. That's about the way I figured it. Anyway, there was more information in our book for anybody who feels like they want to purchase it. Later on, I'm going to bring some, about 15 copies over here. I've got a list of people who's either already paid me or have ordered the book. And after this, I guess the food is ready. So if everybody is hungry and is ready to get something to eat. Also, we've got so many different families here. We were thinking of how we're going to introduce ourselves. It would take all afternoon to stand up. Maybe after lunch.
We'll do the introductions after lunch. You tell how you're related after lunch. We'll have lunch first. I'd like to also tell you when he refers to Manfred Moni, we got acquainted with him by accident. We had 2 bus trips, or 3, that came from Oldenburg, Germany to the new Oldenburg here. And I didn't know any of them. I couldn't talk English. And the first bus tour came, and there's a man in the back of the bus, and he's just talking a mile a minute. And I tried to make it interesting because it had to be translated. So we came north out of Hooper, and we took them to the Bluff Road, and so they could see the old Logan Bottom and see the church. And that is the old New Oldenburg area, everything that you can see in that Logan area clear to the north. So I made a picture of the Monic Mill. For those of you who know, the first mill would have been the Monic Mill, which was on top of the hill where the Lamar place later was. Well, I had a picture of the Monic Mill, and I wrote it out and said that Gerrit Monic was one of the first Germans who came here. There was no flour mill. They had to walk a long distance to get flour. So he put up an old Dutch windmill. And the records in the Hooper Centennial book, and I had read it before, said that the wind was too strong in Nebraska. Anyhow, when they put the canvas on the arms, they would break off. So they only used it like 1 year or so. And then, of course, they had the water-powered mill that came at Logan and Pebble and all over. But I had this picture of the Monic Mill and told a little story and showed where this was on the hill, and we're driving by in this bus. And this guy almost come unglued in the back seat. He come running forward. Moni is a abbreviation of Monic. It was his relatives. And we struck up a big conversation. We took him all over to the area, and at that year that he came, we went to St. John's on the county line, and they had a potluck dinner, and everybody visited, and of course they're visiting back and forth. And he talked so fast that even the German people couldn't understand him. But then somebody would come and translate. But he was hooked on Nebraska from then on. And so he will translate or he will research for almost anybody around here, and he's always sending me something that's out of St. Paul's church records to give to. It's something for Georgine from the Shoals. He just loved us. And so when Stephen was going to go to Germany, we had him look him up, and I think it was the best thing that ever happened. I might say his daughter and her fiance came here to visit last fall, and she could talk English. She's a chef in a hotel, and she's the cook. So she baked a lot, and she was very talkative. You had to talk slow, so she understood, but she translated. And where in the world are you going to take them on a weekday? I stopped at Hugemeyer Hybrid, and it was the best thing that ever happened because Chris himself gave us a tour, and they just loved it. Of course, they went back to tell Manfred, and so we got a friend in Manfred Moaning. If you have something you want to research, you'll look it up.
A couple of things I want to add. Every once in a while when I run into somebody here, or somebody else does, you think to yourself, that person looks familiar, or that person looks familiar, or that person looks familiar. First time I did that was when I was looking at one of Nora's pictures. And her family, I could look at them and say, you know, that looks like my sister Joyce. Or another picture, that looks like my cousin Mark. Or that looks like my brother Stan. And I think it all has something to do with this one couple that came from Germany with these 7 kids and all these genes that they brought with them. Anyway, yeah, a lot of you probably noticed already, and you've been looking at it on the back wall. We set up a display of all 7 families to include the main couple with all 7 of their kids. And on the far left, I've got a chart of all the ancestors going back to 1688. So everybody can feel free to walk amongst each other and talk about what we've got here. I believe this is it, and we'll talk more about introduction after we eat.
Let's start our lunch with the common table prayer, like my grandma Popken would have said. Come, Lord Jesus, be our guest, and let me see us. So if you line up and go through the line,